Again. It is 10105. I'm looking at the people who are present. I want to say welcome to Bob, Deschanel, and Michael Jones. My name is Cristobal. I am the coordinator for the program Civically Engaged Scholars at SLIC. And I'm going to turn the time over to Edwin so he can introduce himself. And the next slide, the second slide, we'll be able to introduce a little bit more to each other in a second. All right. The time is yours, Edwin.
Everyone, my name is Edwin Stafford. I am a civically engaged scholar looking to teach cybersecurity in an outreach role, and welcome to my introductory workshop, Activism in Cybersecurity, How to Protect Your Data While Fighting for Your Existence. And I am a cybersecurity student. Why am I doing this? I'm looking to educate the public. I see a potential to teach cybersecurity in an outreach community role, trying to reach the bottom and head upwards instead of from the top and trying to go down.
And if you don't mind, Edwin, would you mind sharing, what's your major, how long you've been going to SLIC?
I'm a cybersecurity student, CSIS, cybersecurity emphasis, and I've been going since spring of this year. Yay!
Yeah. Edwin found our office at the Thames Center and has been very, how do I say this, very eager to help his fellow community understand what he knows. And what's really cool about Civically Engaged Scholars, we do try to allow students the spaces to grow and learn. So this is not only an opportunity for him to share, but also for him to gain experience so that when he's ready, to go into the workforce, during his career at SLIC or after, he's able to present and work in these very digital spaces that are very relevant for today. So again, we'll be sending a feedback form at the end of this event. So that way, Edwin can hear your own feedback and then other people who view the video as well. So I do appreciate everyone taking some time during this, afternoon on Thursday. And so I'm going to return it back to Edwin.
Very cool. Thank you, Cristobal. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to play a clip from Winter Soldier describing in fair detail why we need cybersecurity education. Here we go.
Zola's algorithm is a program for choosing Insight's targets.
What targets?
You, the TV anchor in Cairo, the Undersecretary of Defense, a high school valedictorian in Iowa City, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat to Hydra. Now, we're in the future.
Future? How could it know?
How could it not? The 21st century is a digital book. Zola taught Hydra how to read it. Bank records, medical histories, voting patterns, emails, phone calls, your damn SAT scores. Zola's algorithm evaluates people's past to predict their future.
What then?
How could it not know? With all of the data that we're swimming in, data being the uncollected information, we put together information, and from the information, we gain knowledge. And how could the system not know? Along with that, we have to realize the first overprinciple of cybersecurity, which is the attacker's dilemma. And now, very simply, the attacker must overcome the defense of the target. A properly constructed defense will make that very difficult to the point of not being worth, as in worth it. So in the example of physical home security, we cut the brushes around our house. We get a dog bowl. The dog is optional. We engrave the dog bowl with a scary name like Shadow, Killer, Bandit, something like that. We get an alarm system, things like this. But in the middle of this, you are not being passive. You're looking for the threats, you're following the local news, you're investigating the police reports, and you're adjusting your tactics as necessary. I'm actually going to skip ahead for just a second, and then we're going to come back. And then principle number 2 is operational security. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see this, but can anybody tell me what they see on this car? And Cristobal, you can go ahead and unmute. What does this car say to everybody?
Keisha Nay said identities.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
What about the identities is where I'm going.
And feel free to keep chatting. I'll keep reading for them, Edwin. Okay, so just FYI, I'll read the chat. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm waiting for answers to populate before I jump in. Any answers yet? All right, drop. You're muted, Cristobal.
I forget. So I said location. Michael Jones said, in quotation marks, I'm military. I can defend myself, so back off. So kind of like antagonizing in a way. Deschanel put parent, partner, military spouse.
Okay.
Anything from Bob? Here, I unmuted you, Bob. Go ahead.
Well, you can see that there's a father, a mother, 2 kids, a dog, and a cat. See, one of his sons is in high school. One of them's in the army.
Yeah, great.
Going to college that he supports or that his son goes to. So there's a lot of information.
Yeah, there is. Thank you so very much. I'm going to mute you back. Thank you so much, Bob.
And Bob,
okay, go ahead, Edwin.
Bob is on the right track here. So, as from a cybersecurity perspective and a security perspective, as I look up here at your family, we have Jay, Tim, Kay, the mother is Sue, Rex, and a nondescript kitty. Well, Rex is the name of the dog, and names of the dogs are one of your security questions on the internet. You're new to the area. Tag applied for. You're new to the area. You don't know your way around. You don't know who people are yet. ABC High School and the honor student role. I now know where your kid goes to school. Same with the college. This sticker is upside down. That doesn't tell me anything. From a security role, I also know that you sell things online. So you may or may not have a lot of inventory in your apartment, garage, inside the house, whatever. The only things from a security standpoint that are going to slow me down is the plethora of army symbols. That, okay, you're Your husband's a soldier, your son is a soldier, someone in your family is a soldier. On the one hand, they're not going to be in the house very often. On the other hand, you may or may not know your way around a gun. So, for this apartment, I might take a pass and come back to somebody else's. But if those weren't there, I have everything I need to start connecting the dots. And that is what we are trying to do today, is show you how to break those dots so that the dots cannot be connected. So we're going to come back here. Now, the assumptions that we have to make about our opponent is that we have a democratic tradition. In our case, the democratic tradition goes back over 1,000 years, and that this democratic tradition has taken something of a bump on the head. It's forgotten its past, it's forgotten its values, and it's forgotten where it wants to go. It also has freedom of the press. So the individual reporters as well as corporate reporters can report without much fear of incrimination. And the last point is that you are going to avoid felonious behaviors at a protest. As long as you stay with a local problem, you should be fine. If you commit a felony, you have now escalated the situation, or if you are accused of a felony, you have now escalated the situation to a level where you are dealing with unlimited resources and unlimited time. Now, what are our risks and what are our threats? Of course, at protests, we have the physical threats. From the riot police, we have tear gas, rubber bullets, and beanbags. The rubber bullets are especially dangerous because they are supposed to skip those off of the ground and then bounce them into the protesters. And that's very dangerous, obviously. Also, we are seeing counter-protesters armed with guns, knives, and we also have people that are driving cars into the protest. And we also have, in the cyber realm, we have stingrays, which are the major point of this conversation. A stingray is a cell phone tower, a simulated cell phone tower. They are largely passive. They can do distributed denial of attack, distributed denial of service, by refusing to connect calls to everything within their range and their line of sight. So the police are going to set this on top of a building, a tower, something prominent in the area, and they're going to sit and they're going to listen to the information. Who's calling who? Who's watching what videos? Who's streaming videos? Who's calling? Who's being called? Who's texting? Etc. And they are very dangerous because of that passive mode, so we can neither confirm their existence nor deny it. You also have to deal with arrest, and with that arrest, hopefully it is a catch and release arrest. But if you are arrested, you can count on the phone being confiscated, or they will destroy your phone. And that obviously poses problems if it is your phone. Speaking of which, where's my phone? And so we have to ask ourselves the big question, is this worth it to me to attend this protest? Are the people that I am talking to and the people in my life so on board with what is going on that we are willing to put our information, our phone calls, our texts, my bank account possibly, my Facebook possibly, into a police database with no recourse or next to no recourse. And now that we have, and hopefully we can answer that question fairly quickly, and now we're going to move on to how to stack the deck in our favor to cheat, basically. So now we have to begin at the beginning. Now, the beginning of the beginning is mundane, it's every day. Everyone should be running a password manager. Because of the way our brains work, your brains cannot remember 6 digits, a capital, a special character, so on and so forth. Your brain just cannot store that much information. And so everyone should be running a password manager. And with that, you can generate secure passwords, and you can store those passwords in a vault to have your passwords. It can be a bit of a pain, but security and convenience are on a balance scale. If something is more convenient, it's not as secure. If something is more secure, it's not as convenient. And it's a trade-off. You can't hit the sweet spot. Everyone should have a burner phone or a burner phone number. Now, that's usually associated with criminality. It doesn't have to be. If you're flipping stuff online, if you're selling LuLaRoe, if you're selling, I forget some of the other ones. If you're selling stuff on KSL, if you are dating online, if you are dating on bulletin boards, you shouldn't be. But if you are, do not have your main phone number available to the public. Get a spender phone, pay with it in cash, and if that phone gets compromised, burn the number to the ground. We should also be disabling our biometrics and our AirDrop if we have an Apple phone. And in the security world, regardless of what you think about the company, Apple is where the security is at. They are confidently secure. There is a $1 million payday for anyone who can gain remote access to an iPhone or an iPad, and a guaranteed job for life for someone who does that. And Apple is probably confident that they are never going to pay out that $1 million payday. Could they give the job for life? For the other stuff, sure. But they are reasonably secure in their $1 million US payday. On your phone, you should also use a PIN, not a swipe. So several digits into the phone instead of a pattern on the screen, which I can decipher using the smudges. And you should also be thinking about the auto wipe feature for the phone. If they get it, and they could be a thief, a police officer, a jealous boyfriend, whoever, if they start trying to get into that phone and it's set up to auto wipe, they will have a brick. And those of us in the security industry, we love bricks. Okay. And then we move on to advanced work. Now, are there any questions as we move forward here?
Hi, Edwin. I have a quick question.
Shoot.
For the password vault piece, is that like the like how iPhones kind of like automatically store, like, do you want to save your password? Is that what you're referring to? Or is that like a
They
separate app?
they are, but they are at a very lower level of grade. They are not secured.
Okay.
For a proper password manager, you can see. I'm going to switch back here. You can see my this red box with the 3 lines in it.
I'm sorry, I can't. It's on the advanced work encryption.
I am running LastPass, which is a vault. It has a 20-something character password attached to it. The reason that I'm running LastPass is I need cross-platform compatibility. I'm running Linux, and I am running Windows as well. So I have to have cross-compatibility. And they are secure. My first one that I started with was called Remember. It's very cute. The uninstall screen is a trip. But they are secure. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind is that you have to remember that master password, or you are now locked out of not just your password manager, but everything else. However, because you're only remembering the one password, you are only remembering the one password. And there is an EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, recommendation for a password manager for those going into
And one thing we can do, Edwin, is also maybe like a follow up at the end of this event. We could send like an email with like different links to different program managements that you have in mind.
I can make those arrangements.
Yeah, and I guess my question would be: I know Google Chrome has suggested passwords. Is that also like a password manager?
They store the password. Okay, so there's a difference in between a password manager, which is a vault, which is secure. It may or may not be on the net. Some of them, one of them isn't. I think it's actually the EFF recommendation. Yes, we will get those to you. So they are locked in a vault, usually encrypted, and you can't really get to them. The saved passwords on Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer. Well, it's not Internet Explorer anymore, it's Edge. Those are just stored. So if I can gain access to your browser, I have your passwords. Now, admittedly, that's a bit of a pain in the neck. But it's something I can do, something to keep in mind. All right, here. And now we move on to the advanced work of encryption. And encryption, big scary words. AES, RSA, PGP, asymmetric, symmetric, Enigma, Kyra, all of these big scary names that you hear throughout history. And the algorithms are even scarier. Or at least they look scarier, because we'll get into a very simple one here in a few minutes. But they really aren't that bad. They are mostly time consuming. Encrypting a tweet with some of the hand ciphers is going to last you about an afternoon if you do it by hand. However, it's also usually invisible. Your passwords are all encrypted. The HTTPS is an encrypted connection. Your bank account's obviously encrypted. Your credit card's obviously encrypted. And on it rolls. And to show you how simple it is, this being Utah, does anyone not have access to a quadruple combination? Because if you do,
I think for sure
I
some
know you
people.
don't. Because we're going to make a really simple book code. So go ahead, run, grab your scriptures or a Bible. Dictionary can also work, or an encyclopedia. And start thumbing through it. And as you are thumbing through it, you're going to notice that it's laid out in a very specific fashion. And because of that, we can use a book. You can use novels, you can use dictionaries, you can use encyclopedias to encrypt messages. And so you would need a method, and there are 66 books in the Bible. There's 130 something sections in Doctrine and Covenants. I've lost track of how many chapters and verses there are in the Book of Mormon and the Pearl of Great Price. But if you have a counting system for establishing where on the page you are drawing your words from, you can use a scripture to encrypt data sources. So, for example, if I want to encrypt stand, I can turn to page 716 in my quad. It is in the first column, and it is the first word in that column. So 716.01.01, which then is encrypted 716.01.01. If I want to encrypt my, I can turn to... If I want to encrypt the word I can turn to 1079, and it is the second. It is in the second column. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to call about 30. So 1079.02.30. It can also be 1078.02. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 1078.02.26. So I can even encrypt the same word different ways. And this is just the beginning. There are far more creative, far more complicated, and far nastier forms of encryption. And the best part about it is, this is in your house. You don't have to buy anything.
So Edwin, so just to clarify then, just to kind of, because it was just a little difficult for me to fully follow. In other words, a book or some sort of like text with lots and lots and lots of words, and is sort of like a device that you use to make a key to open things. So instead of like my brain storing, passwords, this book is through like the methodology or like a formula.
This would be for if you want to communicate surreptitiously, privately. This would not be for the generation of passwords. For the generation of passwords, there are several online sources you can use, and they copy and paste into your password manager.
I think I've seen an example of this, like when people are incarcerated, they have a book, and then that's what they use to communicate with the outside world. So this is more of a dated methodology of how to get these encrypted passwords, correct?
It's dated, but everything old is new. Well, everything new is something old that someone has forgotten. Because in order to crack the code, you have to get that book. Okay, great. So you think it's my quad. That's one of my bookshelves. That is a bookshelf. I have two more, and those aren't even all of my books. So it's very much a security by obscurity kind of thing where, okay, we know he's using a book code.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it, Edwin. Thank you so very much.
No problem. And then, last but not least, who do others see? And this is a branch off of the beginning of the beginning. You need to have two personas that you engage in if you are going to engage in protesting or even online dating, something like this. You need a separate email to manage the invites, the responses, the comings, the goings of a protest. You need a separate Facebook account to stream from, to post pictures to harvest pictures from, so on and so forth. And you need separate accounts for any devices. Ideally, you are paying for your devices in cash. You are not financing or founding another account with your name, address, and phone number. And most importantly of all, you do not cross the streams. Never cross the streams. My protest friends are not on my Facebook account, on my main Facebook account. My main Facebook friends are not on my protester account. Don't cross the streams. Because, as we demonstrated with the car, let's say that even though I have all of my stuff locked down, my friend Zoe doesn't. If Zoe's on my protest Facebook account, the police can backdoor Zoe and get to me. So don't cross the streams. And so, Rick, go ahead.
We just had a new person enter. Their name is Mary. Welcome.
Hi, Mary. So,
Go continue, Edwin.
So recommended by the EFF here for the people that have been asking. We have for the password manager XE KeyPass. As I said, I started out with the Remember password manager. It's cute, it's adorable, it's fun. Doesn't have cross-platform compatibility. But it served for what I needed it to. And there are other, of course, password managers. The market right now is booming. On your mobile devices, you would want to install an app called Signal. Signal acts as an encryption algorithm within the phone to encrypt text and phone calls on the phone, and pictures, etc. This last one is going to get me a few raised eyebrows. Tor, the online for your on-phone internet browsing and streaming purposes. Tor is relatively infamous, but it doesn't have to be. It is one of the browsers you get when you want to access the dark web. And I want to kind of clarify terms when we say dark and deep web because the two are distinct. The dark web, you have to know how to find it. So even though you have Tor on your device, you're not going to know where it is. You have to search for it. You have to find it. You have to track it down. So even though you have Tor, it's not going to matter. For the deep web, Slick has a deep web. Because not all of Slick's information shows up on a Google search. Some of the search pages and Canvas, they're not accessible to the internet public at large. So just because it's Tor, don't worry about that. Now, what are the catches? Once again, security versus convenience. Pick one. And there isn't really a sweet spot that you can have. If you look at military bases, courthouses, prisons, jails, etc., government buildings, they are secure. Metal detector, physical search, put your things through an x-ray machine. Not very convenient to get to. By the same token, walking into a church, convenient to get to. Not very secure, unless they're thinking about it. And once again, Apple, once again, regardless of how you feel about their company, Apple is where the security game is. Now and I would of course recommend getting an older phone as the burner phone. Just make sure that it is iOS 8 or later, and you will be fine. Android enjoys the market share, but it's not built for it. You have much slower performance on the phone, and in order to put it on the phone, you have to unroot the phone. Don't root the phone. And of course, the encryption is one way. If you forget your password, you have to do a factory reset. Oof. Thank you so much. That is the end of my prepared speech. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, before we go to the questions, Edwin, I just want to say thank you very much for everyone who's attended so far. I'm going to stop the recording, and that way we can ask questions more liberally, and people can, we can get into more of the discussion afterward. We do have until 2:30, but it doesn't have to go that long. So when we feel there's a natural kind of a cliff, we can stop there. So let me just stop the recording from right here.
Yeah, I